Hello, welcome to Board Deck and Dice. Today we are looking at dice building, dice grabbing and dice rolling game Kapow. Let's take a look at how it plays and I'll be back on the other side of, well, I'll still be here, but I mean let's just watch. So here we have the player boards from Kapow. They are the same for both sides. There is a attack, a defend and a power up. You can arrange them however you want. And you will start with a number of trait dice, which are the square non-editable ones, and a number of action dice with certain sides already put on, depending on if you're a hero or a villain. In the vanilla game, that is all you'll use. If you want to choose a specific character, you will take one of the character sheets. Remember, this is just prototype. That will give you a whole list of extra moves and your starting health and setup of dice. So normally in a standard game your health would be at 30, you just mark it on the attached sheet, but once you choose a character that all goes according to this character sheet. On your go you'll be rolling a number of dice. Most people start with 5 and then you'll be placing them out, matching the symbols to the symbols on here. So if I had let's say I had a fist here, where are we, fist? That will give me a base attack of 3, for example. Where it says any, you can place any dice, including a blank. Where we have this symbol here, let's just zoom in a little bit. It says any non-blank action die. So this must be one of these and a non-blank side. There's also some places where you can place any action die, so that includes a blank. So blank dice are still useful in this game, and that's worth remembering, particularly because you can use any dices to re-roll others. So accumulating blank dice isn't necessarily a bad thing, as you can trigger off some powers. You will have everything behind a player shield, which will go here to protect what you're planning to do, and this gives loads of information about what everything means. It's really done very well. Gives you a quick reference about the wilds and what faces are on each of the trait dice, and breaks everything down for you nicely. Once you have placed all your dice, you will reveal to the opponent, they will do the same thing, and you will resolve everything. To attack and to defend, you must have one dice in the base zone. So the base zone is the top 4 in the attack and defense. If you have more than one, if you've activated more than one in the base, you only count the highest damage one. So you have the base, the kickers, and you can have as many of these as you want, and they add to your attack. So you can have a base damage of 3, a defense kicker of 1, and a defense kicker of 3, which is giving you a total of 7 before multipliers. You can only have one multiplier, and that's the bottom 2 as well, and they can be quite powerful if you can get them. So after you've attacked and defended, you do the power up phase, where you activate any of these that aren't immediates. Immediates are activated while you're rolling, and you just say to the other person, I am re-rolling, I've assigned an immediate dice and I am re-rolling. Everything else is activated after the attack and defend phase. And some of these will continue to do damage if an opponent takes a dice, for example. So each time you roll the dice, you're deciding between gaining more dice and therefore more choices, or hitting someone really hard and hoping that they go for dice and don't defend. After that, you do a clean-up phase, taking all the dice back off, changing any dice face that you want, and then you go again until someone's health reaches 0 or furthest below 0. In this prototype there's loads of little dice face, and they just contain the standard ones. These are the Rattlebone prototyping dice, and a bit like Dice Forge, they just clip on there, but instead of using the other one to pick off, you just get a little tool here which flips them off, and you can transfer them around fairly easily. I don't believe these are the ones being included in the Kickstarter though. There will be some that's kind of similar system for the Kickstarter, where you're removing and building dice faces. And that is essentially it. In the prototype I've been sent, you have 4 different power sheets. I'm sure that's the sort of thing they'll be adding more of in the Kickstarter. But yeah, once one player is down to 0 health, they are knocked out of the game and the other player wins. let's go back and see what I thought of Kapow. So I find lots that I like in Kapow. There is dice rolling, there is changing the dice faces added into them, a bit like Dice Forge, which shared the mechanic. I do sometimes feel that it suffers from that it's over too quickly phase, and you have just built the mega power dice that you want to roll and you don't get to roll it. That isn't as bad in Kapow as Dice Forge, because a lot of the power-up actions let you acquire multiple dice faces, so you do have a chance of using that die. Also, blank sides are useful in this game. You can use them for whatever, any that says any on it, so that's really good too. And that's quite a useful power. One of the any powers is re-rolling dice, so they've always got a use, so there's no harm in just grabbing loads, but that gives you more decisions about which ones you put dice face on or not. Do you keep 2 blank and make a power dice, for example? The game works best, in my opinion, when you add in the unique player powers to give it a bit of difference between the 2 characters. Otherwise, you're both essentially playing the same with the same stuff available to you. Your starting dice will just be slightly different for the hero and for the villain. In the prototype I received, there was 4, 2 heroes, 2 villains, and they were all very different. Their powers were different, their starting health were different, their starting dice were different. And depending on what you want to do, you're going to be grabbing certain colour of trait dice, you're going to be grabbing certain dice faces to max out what you want to do. And I feel like this game does work best when you're maxing out what you want to do or reacting to what your opponent is maxing out. So if your opponent's maxing out the attack friendly dice, so I forget the name for them, but the biceps, like my muscular arms, and the fists and those ones, then you probably either want to be doing that the same or countering it by going for defense and building up your dice at the same time. So that's really nice and really clever. I think the components are good in the prototype, so that's only going to get better. It's a quick game. You can knock off a game between 15 to 30 minutes, and then you'll probably swap who was the hero and villain and go again. So there's lots to like in Kapow. It is on, I would say, the lighter side, but there are decisions there. There are ways to mitigate your luck and your dice rolling. This is on Kickstarter as we speak, and a link will appear in the description. As always, thanks very much for watching Board, Deck and Dice, and we will see you next time.